critics really wanted Audrey Hepburn to play Anne. Now, by that time, she was quite old. She was in her late 20s, but she still had this very young look about her. And she was their number one choice, so they went to visit her. And this story was actually told to me and to Eva when we actually visited Audrey in her dressing room in London at the Barbican, when she had been in London performing for UNICEF the readings from Anne's diary, with a beautiful piece of music composed behind her. So it was a wonderful, wonderful evening. We were so thrilled we were invited into her dressing room. And Eva went straight up to Audrey and said, "I'm so thrilled to meet you, Miss Hepburn. Did you know that my mother and my late stepfather really wanted you to play Anna in the movie?" And Audrey looked at Eva and she said, "You know why I couldn't do it, Eva?" And she said, "Well, I assumed you had filming commitments." She said, "No, it was just too hard. It was too much like my own childhood in Arnhem in Holland." Now, of course, Audrey wasn't Jewish, she wasn't a Holocaust victim, but her mother was in the resistance, in the Dutch resistance, and so she was at great risk. And Audrey herself was actually running missions for the errands for the underground, for the Dutch resistance. And one day she came home and she saw a big Nazi truck, German truck, outside her apartment, and she panicked and she ran and she went and hid in a cellar for 3 weeks, and she nearly starved because there was so little food. She had to scrape around for any bit of food she could find, and that's why she was always so thin. And that she was one of the first people that the precursor to UNICEF actually helped after the war, and that's why she devoted the second half of her life to UNICEF. But she loved Anne Frank. She felt such an affinity to her, and she greatly admired Otto Frank. And there's a whole chapter in the book about Audrey Hepburn. She was a lovely lady. By the way, I stepped in at that moment. I could see that she was so interested, and I said, "Excuse me, Miss Hepburn, would you mind being a patron of our charity?" And she said, "Of course I will." I don't know if she knew that I was actually, at the time, it was very early days, and it was only me and a part-time administrator, and she gave her name as a patron. It was so exciting. Starting to build up. And there was a member of staff in the Anne Frank house who looked out the window one day and he started pondering and contemplating. And he went to have an idea, a spark of an idea, and he went to see the director of the Anne Frank house and he said, "You know what? There's a lot of people that come every year, but there are a lot of people around the world that can never get to Amsterdam. Why don't we create a mobile Anne Frank house and take it out so other people can see it?" And so the director said, "Good idea." So he commissioned a couple of the historians to the Anne Frank house, one of whom is a great friend of mine, to put Anne Frank's story into an exhibition. And they launched that exhibition in 1985 at the Westerkerk, which is the big church in Amsterdam, just around the corner from the Anne Frank house, the bells of which, the bells and the clock, actually kept Anne very inspired that there was still an outside world where she used to hear them. She used to speak very fondly about the clock tower and the bells in her diary. And so it was launched in 1985 by Queen Beatrix. That's what it looked like. Now, to us in the mid-1980s, that was state of the art. But today it just looks like a dinosaur. It was in huge aluminium frames. Of course, it was designed by Dutch people, arguably the tallest people in the world. So when I first saw that exhibition, I had to stand and look at the top pictures like that. Took about 2 days to build, a big team, and then big white PVC shower curtains of panels, black and white photos.